Excuse me. Can I quit this podcast?
I told Eddie Murphy to stay in college so he'd have something to fall back on.
I give great advice.
Here we are, come on. Another episode.
We're doing our vocal warm. I don't even know this guy yet, and we're doing our vocal warm up exercise.
It is stand-up memories.
Ooh.
Peter Bales, along with Jackie the Joke Man Martling, and our special guest, Vinny D'Agostino,
Yes,
comedian.
Now is D'Agostino, is that like a...
Like the supermarket.
Yes.
Yeah, no
Is
affiliation.
are you from that family?
No.
Nope.
Okay. I wouldn't be sitting here with you and back in Massapequa if I had D'Agostino family money, that's for sure.
Now,
we were kind of counting on that.
Yeah.
I was. Now, what we have tonight is a terrific show with a really funny stand-up comedian.
I just read today that you and me are doing a show at McGuire's in Bohemia this Friday night at
Yes,
7 o'clock.
let's get to the
I just read that. That is big news. We're working together.
There's nothing like slipping a plug into the absolute beginning of the show.
There was no
We haven't
slipping.
even
That was making sure we didn't forget. So
We're
now
not
on
forgetting.
with the show, as they
McGuire's
used to say.
in Bohemia, but McGuire's in Bohemia. I'll get that
He
out.
didn't do his vocal exercises.
Jackie, I
see?
didn't. Jackie, the Joke Man Martling, and I'm opening for Jackie. It's going to be a terrific show this Friday.
Lots of broads, a lot of tomatoes.
And those are women described in a way that you haven't heard since 1957.
So welcome.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
appreciate it.
we
Thank you
have
guys
a
for
great
having
guest,
me.
who I know mostly through the governors clubs where you like to work and I like to work.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing stand-up comedy now?
So, a long time, compared to you two guys. It's a blink of an eye, but I think about coming up on 10 years now.
You're a baby.
Yeah, I'm a fetus for comedy fetus
Isn't
compared
it
to you
weird
guys.
that's like not a long time?
It's not.
But
It's
it is.
not. It is
'Cause
a-
way
it
back
is
when
a
we
long time.
started, it would have been.
It always feels that way where you're in the middle of it, but then in hindsight, it's nothing. It's like 10 years. It's
Right, Zoom.
It's a
you know.
blink of an eye.
Okay, almost 10 years doing
Yeah.
stand-up comedy. Now everybody.
Where are you from?
Medford originally.
Oh,
yeah,
a
yeah.
Long Island.
That's
boy.
right. Yeah.
Yes, but everybody has a different background coming to stand-up comedy, and Vinny's background.
Many of them have different parents.
Yes, many have different parents, but I told you
So
this.
easy to throw them off.
It's so. Actually, I do amazing work with everything that
I'm
you
like the
throw
guy
at
that
me.
goes
just
to a
fucking-
track
yeah.
meet and throws out jacks
whistle,
and,
yeah.
So
thumbtacks.
Vinny has a varied background, like everybody does,
Mm-hmm.
but his is really varied because this man, stand-up
It's
comedian,
an odd last name for a Jewish kid.
it is. This man, Vinny D'Agostino, brings to stand-up comedy a background as an FBI agent.
Yeah. That old story.
Wow.
Now, what?
Really, huh?
Yeah. Did that for 11 years.
11
blink of an
years.
eye. Another blink of an eye type
And
career.
he left. Well, now I don't know if this is true, but he
Yeah.
left quickly when he was caught selling
Under indictment, yeah.
Under indictment for selling secrets to the Chinese.
Yeah.
Wow.
Never could prove it.
No.
But,
So,
Fang. I originally was dating
You were
Fang
selling
Fang
them
before.
important information, or you selling them American jokes?
Yeah, just bad American jokes from hack comics. And
Wow.
It was new to them in China, so they really appreciate it.
but let's get some answers here. Let's really drill down
Mm-hmm.
because that is a special, unusual background for a stand-up comedian.
I have an obvious question. Did you do one of those funniest housewife on Long Island, funniest FBI agent, funniest lawyer? You know, they have all those competitions.
Yeah. No, I didn't do anything with comedy until I retired early because you really can't. Like you can't. There's a lot of cops that do stand up, and and they allow that,
Right.
but you can't be like an FBI agent and then like on the weekends. You tell they just won't allow it. Like even regardless of whether you're paid or not, they just wouldn't allow it. So it was something for me. I literally didn't start until I left the FBI.
You do not have to answer all the questions here, but did you leave of your own accord?
Oh yeah. I left. I left.
It wasn't here's your hat, what's your hurry?
No. I left with 3 other agents to start a cybersecurity company. So it was the right time. I felt like to leave 2015, and I had a great career. And when I thought about all the things that I wanted to do, like you think about when you're a kid and you think about doing jobs like that, you know, in your mind you have what would you want to, you know, why do you want to do that? What are the things you want to do? What are the types of cases you want to work, the investigations? And honestly, at the end of, 11 years, I felt like I checked a lot of those boxes, and I was thinking about, maybe the next thing that I wanted to do, which I never thought I'd feel that way. That was supposed to be like till I died type of job. But
And a lot of guys go into the,
yeah,
the security business. I know a couple guys from the, Secret
Service
Service
does it. Yeah.
All right, so before we leave let's not
Yeah.
leave the FBI yet. What did you like about the FBI the most, and what was your specialty as an FBI agent?
So I remember reading in a couple of moments that I think of leading up to it, like how I decided to go into the FBI and like why, and then what I ended up doing. I remember being at my uncle's house up late one night watching Goodfellas. He had like HBO or something. And it was the first time that whole lifestyle of, organized crime, it connected for me. So my parents were off the boat. So I'm first generation, and people would make jokes all the time, but I never really understood the jokes. And then I saw Goodfellas, and it blew my mind. And I was like, there's this whole underculture that exists about my heritage that is really attached to Italian Americans.
And a lot of people take stuff for granted, or, not take for granted, but incorrectly
Correct.
put that on you,
Yeah, it is a stereotype. And,
I'm still questioning him myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but am I hearing here that you were inspired to go into the FBI by the mafia as portrayed on television?
Yeah, it was more of that this universe existed. It made Italian Americans look bad.
And somebody's got to go in there and
then
shake
I
it
was
up.
like, right, I would love to go and investigate. Like, how do you disrupt this? Are there jobs out there where you can attack organized crime? And so I remember reading.
Not to mention, there's a few bucks floating around from the Lufthansa heist. Get your fingers on that.
So I'll tell you a great story about the real Jimmy Conway and the dig that was done when I was at the FBI. But so I thought about that, and then I remember I ran out and I very quickly read Joe Pistone's book, Donnie Brasco, long before the movie. And it just blew me away. And then there was a follow-up book, I forget the name of it, that basically was not written by him, but kind of picked up in the same trajectory of those investigations, like a spin-off of the follow-up of the additional investigations. And I was hooked. So I remember by the time I left for college, I was seriously thinking about it. But again, a pipe dream, because it's so selective, and it's, I didn't.
And then it's downright frightening.
But you're a kid. You don't think of it that way, right? Like I didn't think of the danger part was part of the excitement at that age. Now I'm like, I would never do that shit again. Like
right.
It's like everything else. You're like,
it was
oh,
enticing.
When you're young, the things. This goes for every profession. The things that you're interested in when you're young are not the things that, like, those are the things
you think
like,
about being a
that.
cowboy, but not thinking about what it feels like when you hit the ground after you're thrown off the horse.
Right. Or when you get older and you hit the ground, you feel that for 3 weeks later. And when you're younger, it lasts, a day. And you get a family and stuff. And so you start to think differently. But I started thinking about the FBI. I remember when I was in college, and then I talked to a recruiter. They would come to, like, in spite, if you ever hear anyone tell you they were recruited by the CIA or FBI, it's the number one most hysterical thing being an FBI agent is you go to parties and stuff and people introduce you to their husbands, and the insecurity comes out, and they immediately tell you how they were deeply recruited by the FBI. But they turned it down instead to manage a CVS because that was more, it's always some ridiculous story. You're sitting there with your wife and you're like, oh, that's great. Well, maybe it's best you didn't do it.
And they don't come
up. There's so many applicants. There's so many people looking for that. It'd be like saying I was a comic and I was recruited by the clubs. You're like, that doesn't work that way. There are way more people who want to be on stage.
And that puts the proper perspective.
Well, I want to talk directly to the audience. If you watch this podcast,
Peter was recruited by the audience to please stop coming.
What I do is I sum up. Now, this is a fascinating story of a first-generation Italian-American who joins the FBI to fight against anti-Italian mafia stereotypes.
Right.
That is a movie right there.
Let alone now going to war with club owners, which is a whole, which is not a lot easier.
That's not much different. Yeah, that's not much different in a lot of ways.
Now, I would imagine the FBI is a place where jokes are difficult to do. I would say a pretty tight place.
Yeah, I think I think you stick.
I was only kidding. He didn't have a gun.
Yeah, you took me serious? Oh, you fucking idiot! It wasn't casino. It was a sandwich. You fucking idiot!
I can't imagine.
So you find what you do is you ultimately find the people that get it. But I will say that, like, not to jump ahead, but going to the FBI Academy and being in Quantico where you train, it is a very risky place to be funny. Because as an instructor said to me, you're either going to do really well or you're going to not even make it out of the academy. Those are the two options for you.
It pass fail.
Basically, but because you stick out. Like, so the other people in my class who had been through multiple academies, a lot of them are former Secret Service or DEA or whatever, or military, right? Special Forces. They would come
to the FBI, they have to start over.
Yeah.
Quantico?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's in fact, I think it's harder in some ways because they have what would be considered bad habits sometimes from the other agencies. Like I never shot a gun before I went to the academy, so I was a blank slate. I became a really good shot quickly. I had no bad habits. But imagine you're hunting with your father for 15 years in the woods, and now you're like, my dad told me. And you're like, yeah, your dad grew up in like the woods of West Virginia. That's not how you do it. So, but in the class, sticking out, it's a paramilitary type structure. So you're basically told, shut the fuck up, fly under the radar, get through the academy.
It's not a laugh a minute.
It's not a laugh a minute. But right?
What were you majoring in college?
I was pre-law, yeah. So I was pre-law. I went to law school. So I was a lawyer before I went. So that was like I went under law and cyber. Those were the two disciplines I qualified.
So your jobs have gotten progressively worse. You were a lawyer, then you dumbed down to FBI, and now you're a stand-up comic.
So all right, my mom. By the way, the day you say that jokingly, half joking, my mom, the day I told her I was going to go to the FBI, she literally said to me in like a broken English, she's like, Vinny, but isn't a lawyer, better? I was like, I know, Mom.
Didn't we spend a few dollars to send you to college?
I want to ask.
Not that they were proud of me, but
I want to ask a serious question. At the FBI Training Academy at Quantico, did they have weekend open mic nights that you could? Was that possible?
Yeah, you could just shoot anybody.
The comic was armed. You were armed in the audience. It was a shootout. No, definitely not that. But there were a lot of funny people I met. You gravitate towards people who get that. And being from New York, I think you're always a little bit different. When you're in a class full of people from the Midwest and stuff, you know what it is. Like being from New York.
You're just looser. You just are.
Exactly.
You can't hide that.
You can't hide it. And you can only, and that's what I said, through the academy was, not that I am understood where I was and I respected the importance of it, but I had to kind of be me to an extent. And I was like, I'm going to, I'll give you an example. Teachers would say stuff, instructors, and they would ask you a question about like, I'll never forget one instance someone asked, the class, do you think 9/11 was preventable? And everyone's sitting there and trying to think of everyone's thinking of the answers he wants to hear. And most people are like, no. And then I'm like, well, if it wasn't, like, what are we doing here? Like, what, if it's not preventable, then what are we training for? Like, the whole idea is to prevent this.
Why don't we just give up right now?
And we got into this debate. And after the class, someone came up to me and he's like, what are you doing? You don't challenge the teacher. And I'm like, well, in law school, that's encouraged, right? That's called the Socratic method. Like, someone makes an argument, you make a counter argument. It's not personal. But in the paramilitary type organizations, like if you're in the Army or one of the armed forces, one of the branches of the military, or in a police type academy, generally they don't like that shit.
Sir, yes, sir.
It's basically like, shut the fuck up. But so for me, it was like, well, if that's the organization and I fail out of this or I get booted, I guess I could live with that because I don't want to be in an organization that's like, just agree with us. That's how the FBI got into so much trouble.
Did you get pushback on that?
I did, but it went one of two ways. I ended up becoming very good friends with a lot of my instructors, because they've started to understand. I also did exceptionally well, right? Like it's like you can't be that way and be a jerk off. Like if you're failing your tests and you're not following instructions and you're not working hard and you're giving pushback, then you're done. So it almost puts pressure on yourself to make sure that you have to now back it up. It's just like, and similar to being a comic in that sense that like you can say what you want, but when you get on stage, if you're not
A
backing it
lot
up,
of comics I know
Backing it up
fooled
with laughs.
Yeah,
a
with
lot
laughs.
of comics fooled around in school and made jokes and
Yeah.
wise, but they did well.
Well,
So,
exactly.
it wasn't like they were sloughing off. They just that something bubbles
All right.
out of
Exactly.
you.
All right. Now, I understand the transition from the FBI to cybersecurity, a new opportunity, but connected still.
yep.
All right. So that was smooth for you. But the transition from cybersecurity to stand-up comedy, can we drill down on that?
Yeah, so it went like this. It went talk to the recruiter when I was at Penn State, and he's like, kind of gave me really bad advice now that I think about it. He said, they come to the campuses, they meet with the students, you go talk to them, and I said, oh, I'm kind of interested in this. He says, what's your major? I said, computer science. He said, computers, that's going to be no good. This is the 90s, by the way. He goes, are you interested in law? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you should go to law school. 1/3 of agents are lawyers, 1/3 are CPAs, and 1/3 are basically military. That's what it was at the time. This couldn't have been more the worst. I mean, talk about this is pre like early internet.
You'd be a gazillion.
Yeah, like so I stayed with the computers as a hobby. I was working at the university fixing computers just to make money. I liked it. And then by the time I go to law school, which I liked, and I liked practicing law, but I continued to do side projects with the building networks for law firms and stuff. When I applied, the internet cyber was the big thing. That's all the FBI wanted, because this is post 9/11. They realized that part of the reason we had that failure was our shitty technological infrastructure.
You have to catch up.
Yeah, we were so behind. The government was so behind. They were using computers with floppy disk stills, and it's still in an age of CD-ROMs, which was a big difference.
Yeah.
And so
It
when
was pretty frightening.
it was, I mean, the shit you learn once you get there, and you're like, I can't, there should have been 8 9/11s based on,
Yeah,
what
your
was
job
going
is
on.
to feed the mouse on the
Yeah, literally, the bureaucracy. So when I applied, they said, well, we added up all your part-time work on the computer shit, summers, Christmases, and at Penn State, and that added up to 7 years. So you can go under cyber now, and then you're being a lawyer, past the bar, practicing law, you can go under law. So it moved me to like the top of the pile. Had I just given up on the computer shit, I would have just been another lawyer. I had multiple friends that were lawyers that never got even to the interview stage.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many lawyers that are applying. So when you talk about something you love doing that you're doing as a hobby, and then somehow it turns out to be this super important part of your story. So when I get there, I work organized crime the first 8 years, which is like a dream. You're working Italian organized crime in Manhattan. The shit that I was watching movies on.
At the same time,
You're
you
living
were
it.
Living it.
At the same time, you were interacting with your own relatives.
Yes. Well,
I'm sorry, that playing into the stereotype.
Oh,
so
you know it's mostly
so I remember
Jewish
we
people.
arrested a Ronnie D'Agostino once, and we gave each other a look like, I don't recognize you.
Is that
So,
true?
yeah, swear to God, Ronnie
That's
D'Agostino.
Is
Yeah.
that a bit? You should put that into your
Yeah,
act.
it's a true story. You
Is
could
it-
Google these guys.
Yeah, but make it into a bit.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
And you would get, like, I remember years after The Sopranos was done, I ended up watching, which was such a great show, unbelievable. And my brother used to call me. He was like, "I can't believe you don't watch this." But the wise guys we investigated were obsessed with the show, and it became this weird scenario where like they were mirroring The Sopranos, and the Sopranos were mirroring them, and it became this like fucking echo chamber of retardedness
Right,
between all of
right.
them.
Gotcha.
You couldn't tell half the time, who was ripping off who with bad ideas. But they would. There was a scene, if you remember, in season 1 of The Sopranos where the agents, Agent Grasso, the FBI agents go to Tony's house, and he says Grasso because it's an Italian guy, and Tony says to him like something in Italian. It's basically like they fuck you in the ass at night or something like that. And that was a real thing, being Italian. And then arresting Italians, and the disgust that they had for you for turning on their own kind.
Right,
they would literally
right.
give you shit like, you're a fucking disgrace to Italians. And I'm like, I'm fucking first generation. You're like fourth generation. You're the bastard, Xerox copy of an Italian.
All right.
and they're mad at you. Meanwhile,
Yes. Yeah, I'm like, you give us a bad stereotype. Like,
completely.
So I want to. We got. Oh, the clock is moving.
Hell with
I want. So you
Were
going?
you ever scared? Did scary stuff happen? Or were you behind a computer on a desk? Or
no.
were you out-
I love being on the street. Like, I ran sources. Like, so my thing was we would recruit people. We would
Wow.
arrest people, and then if they were in a position to become informants, and you can convince them to wire up, you would become their handling agent. I fucking love that because I just had the personality for it.
They had to be so damn brave.
Yeah, but desperate too, right? Like they're not doing it.
You're giving them such a good deal.
Well, there, it's there. You know, a couple of types of sources. It's rare that you have someone who does that for like just to be on Team America for no reason. 99% of people cooperating with the government, the ones who are wearing a wire, at least. You have snitches that might be like Team America there, but the ones who are wearing a wire are because they're facing usually very serious charges and a lot of time. And you have to use that as an agent during the course of your investigations to figure out who the people who are susceptible to that. So there are certain people, like, have you ever heard of Sonny Franzese? Sonny was like the oldest, most notorious sort of mobster that died fairly recently. He was someone who would never flip, right? He was around Carlo Gambino. He was like 104 when he died, right? He was a legend. I understood trying to flip him would be impossible.
I met that guy.
Yeah, I'm sure you definitely, because he's
Of
Michael
course
Franzese.
We're
Of
big
course
fans
you
of the
did.
show. And
Yes.
after he had just gotten out, maybe in 2005 or 2002, and it's a long story, but hey, Sonny wants to meet you. I know 100%. Who the guy is.
Yep.
You know, he's a bull. You know, he was
yeah.
frightening.
He's an old school mobster. I mean,
You can mention true dirtbags in our society, and Jackie goes, I met that guy. I hung out.
Nobody decent. Well, but he's a frightening.
wise guys in entertainment. I mean,
All right.
like he was,
So let's get this guy from the mafia. I'm not fighting the mafia to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
But I want to hear. Okay, successful in cybersecurity, but then you decide you're going to do a stand-up comedy set. You must remember your first time.
Yep.
I mean, what's the thought process? What gets you, FBI cybersecurity, to walking on stage trying to make people laugh?
Did you stop one and then start, or did you?
Yeah,
put your foot in first?
You can't do any side work at the FBI. There's no like moonlighting.
Right.
So that career ends, and then me and 3 other agents started this other company. And with that intention, that was the point of why we were leaving, because the cyber stuff was blowing up. Everything was becoming cybercrime. Private sector really needed people to do these investigations. We were really good at it. So the timing, worked out. I was in for 11 years. One of the guys was in for like 12. One of them was in for 17. One of them was like 5 or 6 years. So that was just the timing. And I always say this in life, like you have to look at, you kind of lay out the way you want it to go. And then life happens around it, and you can't stick to some fucking plan you wrote out as if, like, they say what? People make plans and God laughs, right?
I was just going to say that exact thing.
And so you got to recognize the things that are changing around you, that your timetable, whether it's getting married, having kids, whatever, moves up and moves back depending on what's going on in the world. And I'm looking at it going, I didn't want to retire until I was in for 20 plus years, but this opportunity is coming now 10 years earlier than I wanted. Will it still be here 10 years from now? I don't think it will be.
Now,
not to
does
this
it
extent.
still exist?
It does, but like what, monetarily, right? No, it does. Like the time I left was at the time when this was the peak demand for it, and it was an opportunity to start something that really hadn't been done. And so the financial benefits of that and the freedom to build something existed during that period. If I had left 10 years later, absolutely not. That's not the way it is now.
Okay, now you are a real cybersecurity expert, and I need to ask you, my passwords are the same as my social security number. Is that wrong?
No, it's convenient for you and the bad guy. It's
Okay,
perfect.
good. It works for both
He
of us?
doesn't have to look through your account for it. He just knows.
His license plate is his phone number.
It's perfect, yeah.
All right. But you're hankering to get on stage. You've got this
So this is how it happens. All right. So everyone remembers, I'm sure both of you experienced the same thing. You mentioned it actually a few minutes ago. You're in school. You're kind of disruptive. You get a high of making people laugh. You're in class. It's more important to you to make a joke. Even though you know you're going to get detention, you cannot control yourself because it's the perfect joke at the perfect time.
It's worth it.
It's worth it to you, right? Your parents are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But you're like...
There were times I would call out like an English class with a stupid joke, and he'd say, I'll see you at 3 o'clock, Martley. And I'd say, yeah, but it was worth it.
Exactly.
I'd actually say that out loud. It was worth it.
Do you ever get the teacher to laugh? I remember getting my chemistry teacher to laugh out of... She didn't like me, but it was so good. I made her laugh. I'll never forget to the day I died, the pride in that. I still got detention, but she laughed because she knew.
They laugh and give you detention.
And it was a dirty joke. It was some inference about her biker husband or something. It was a sexual, but I didn't cross a line. And she got it. And she fucking laughed and put her face down and was like, "You got detention." And I was like, it was fucking worth it.
I had the same thing you guys had, but it was slightly different because when the teachers kept me after class to get in trouble, the reason was they wanted to ask me to explain what the joke was supposed to be.
Not a good sign.
My jokes didn't
Well,
work.
that sounds a lot like your audience.
All right. Where'd you do your first set?
So-
and where'd you lose your comedy virginity?
But when you're doing the whole FBI thing, were you living on Long Island?
Yes, I was living in Belmore. So I always wanted to do, when I was younger, comedy. But going back to my parents' first generation, they came here poor as shit. Must understand that never seemed like a real job to me. I didn't understand like people do make a living doing that because it was not, that was not, my parents would have not have been like, "We're so proud, Vincenzo. We can't," like that's not that they would shit on it per se, but they wouldn't understand it. Like
But
I said,
especially leaving a good job to do it.
right, would be insane. Or even when I was younger, if I said I wanted to drop out of school and do it, my parents would honestly be very concerned and kind of disappointed because unless you come from an entertainment background, your family doesn't, you know,
No idea what you're
it's
doing.
doctor,
No idea.
lawyer, it's be the best you can be. It's
know.
not tell jokes. Now they would support me, but they would be very nervous for me.
Because they wouldn't
They
understand.
wouldn't understand it.
Right.
And so I said, early on in life, I would have loved to have entertained that and tried comedy, but that ship has sailed and I made my decisions and that's life, right? Maybe the next reincarnation, I'll be a comic. So fast forward, I leave the FBI. I go to brokerage is right down the street from our house. So while I'm in the FBI, every once in a while we go to Brokerage Comedy Club to catch a show. One day we go in with a friend of ours who knew the owner of the club, and we shake hands. "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah blah. We sit down to watch the show, and we leave. And there's a fundraiser event we're doing now a month later for friends of family, whatever, sick kids. You know the deal. You raise money. The host doesn't show up, so we're sitting in the crowd. Host doesn't show up. Owner of the club, James, says, "Just go introduce the comics." And I said, "Yeah, that's easy. I'll go up."
Okay.
Then he says,
No pressure.
do some time. And I'm like, no. I was like, I'll just introduce the comic. But you have to remember, this is after the FBI now. So I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? I bomb? Like, no one's going to shoot
Most
me up here.
likely they're not armed.
Yeah,
right?
most likely they're not armed. I can take the ego, hit to bomb. So I do like a minute or two just joking with the crowd, and it's fun. And I honestly left feeling like, cool, I got to experience something like stage time, and that's it. Come back to the club like 2 weeks later for dinner. I swear to God, show's getting ready to start. James comes in, says, "All right, you're up after him."
Okay.
And I was like, "What do you mean up? I'm literally had food." He goes, "Do 3 minutes." I was like, "I'm not doing 3 minutes.
Wow.
You're crazy." He goes, "Just do another 3 minutes." He goes, "I'm going to bomb." He goes, "It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's my club. Go and bomb." So I knew from having friends that were comics, that's like a gold. I mean, you don't turn down stage time.
Now listen,
That's such a wonderful gift.
that is a great
Right?
story. But let's we have a big audience that's not on Long Island. Let's explain what you're talking
right.
about.
Tell them what the brokerage is.
The brokerage is a comedy club in Belmore on the South Shore of Long Island, and it's owned by the Governors. Is it a corporate governor? The Governors has a home club in Levittown. That's kind of the mothership. And then there's the brokerage in Belmore on the South Shore, and out east a bit is McGuire's, where Jackie and I are going to be this coming Saturday.
At 7.
No. Wait, Friday.
March
This coming
6th,
Friday,
7
March
p.m.
6th, 7 p.m. Get there early for the opening act, and then you can leave after that. So I'm just being honest. Okay, now, and James is the owner, so
Right.
this is what Vinny is referencing, and it sounds like he got you started,
Right.
and you know what analogy I'm making? He's like a drug dealer, because I think you went up on stage,
Correct.
got a laugh, and that laugh felt like heroin, and you're
Correct.
addicted, and you're addicted
It's an
ever
addiction.
since. So James, this is your creation.
Yep.
And
But the amount of, young comics would claw each other's eyes out to be able to jump up and do 3 or 5 or 10 minutes on a Friday or a Saturday,
And I knew enough people doing comedy. I was on the periphery enough to know that stage time is such a gift and it's so hard to get. I literally said to my wife, like, I don't want to say no because it's like so rare to get. If I hadn't known that, I might have said no, not understanding the value of that.
Right.
But I understood the value of it. And then I went up, it went well. And then he said, hey, go take a comedy class. Because really the mechanics of it were foreign to me, like just how to handle the mic and get the stand. I mean, just silly things you don't think of. But like that's all really important. The cadence of a joke and all that stuff. I used to kind of rush through. And so I did the comedy class, entered like a competition, and did well in the competition. And then because I was down the street, he could write me and say, what are you doing? What are you doing tonight? And it could be like 6 o'clock, and I could be like, I'm home. Everything, come do a spot. Come do a spot. Come do a spot.
So you can honestly say, and I can say it too. The Governors Clubs Governors is your home club. With any three out of the three, and I can say that now too. And James has been great to me. I started at the comic strip in Manhattan, but now the Governors Clubs are my home club and your home club, and it's a great place to go, and it's for comedians to work out. And Jackie's home club, by the way, is a strip club in Manhattan.
I started the brokerage in 1980 and started Governors in 1981.
All right.
I've seen the picture of you. It's on the wall. On one of the clubs, there's a picture of you there.
Hey guys,
from the 80s.
gotta wrap it up.
I hear God.
Gotta wrap it up.
We have to wrap it up?
I'll just eat it on the way home.
All right. We
got to have Vinny back.
I'll come back. I live in Dixville, so I'm close.
He's on our case. We could keep this conversation. I want to hear stories about you as a stand-up comedian. We had a fun time at the McGuire's not too recently, when Vinny will tell you he made a big mistake and handed the mic. You never surrender the microphone to an audience member. I want to hear that
What
story.
did you say? You handed the mic to him.
not that big
All right,
of a
we
mistake.
are we're trying to stick to our time, and we could keep going forever with Vinny. Vinny D'Agostino will be back, I assure you.
I will ask one thing. He kind of jumped over. I guess the comedy course he took was not.
No, he took a comedy course. I think it was taught in Chinese.
By?
Well, I'm not sure.
It wasn't you. It was was it Richie maybe?
Wait, in Levittown?
Yeah.
John Truson.
No, I
Wasn't
knew
John
Truson well.
No?
I was getting to know him well at that point, but I don't.
Yeah.
He came in sometimes, but I think it was Richie Burns.
Oh,
Maybe?
Richie Byrne. Okay,
I think it was.
We had Richie Byrne as a guest.
Yeah.
He's a terrific guy.
And John would come in often.
Okay,
but-
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Well,
Yeah.
Richie Byrne, John Truson.
Yeah.
We mentioned
Very
our friend.
familiar.
Yeah.
Long Island.
All right. So I
Comedy
think
names.
we're going to wrap this up, and it'll be smooth except for Jackie. He's going to interrupt me 7 times.
If you would like to email me, I would love to hear from you. Jokeland@AOL.com. I had a bunch of people asking me stuff, and I'll explain later.
Well, this is great.
Jokeland@AOL.com. Vinny will be back for more.
Vinny D'Agostino, stand-up comedian with a great history. He's out there all over the place. So
Did they have a wacky, like, Mr. D'Agostino?
Remember that?
Was that a...
Oh, I got teased with that. That was a
I'm hearing
famous
that. I'm
supermarket song. Hey, Mr. D'Agostino, move closer to me. That was a big thing when we were kids.
Sounds
This
good.
has been Stand-Up
It
Memories.
will continue to be.
Thank you, Vinny D'Agostino.
Anytime.
And as always,
If you recognize Peter Bales, he has stand-up university.
Stand Up University.
Learn to be a
.com.
comedian or an FBI agent.
Thank you.
Either.
Cybersecurity, whatever you want to do, we don't care. We'll never see you.
Jackie the Joke Man Martling. I am Peter Bales. This has been Stand Up Memories, and as usual, a terrific show, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Thank you.